Hey guys, it's Andy from WebCrunch. I just wanted to say, well, welcome to the first video ever on this blog so far. And also, I'm here to kind of announce that a redesign had just took place. So if you're reading this blog post, you probably already know that. But below this video will be kind of what a written excerpt of what I'm talking about here. My goal of the video is just to kind of walk you through the new design and explain my decisions behind it. The transition from the old design to the new design, some like pains and suffering and crap I went through, and just kind of show you around the new design itself. So why don't we do that first? I have obviously, if you've seen this interface, it's Sketch for you UI designers out there. I'm a fan of the app. Basically, we started with the homepage here. It has more or less a kind of a newspaper inspiration. I wanted to kind of bring the blog aspect back to roots. I love traditional blogs. Nothing against those bigger content generators out there. You all know them, like Medium or something like that. But to me, like a person with a real blog has more of a voice and is more opinionated, and I don't know, is more free to say what they want to say. And I appreciate that. So it's kind of why I started this. But anyway, the design. Let's go back to the design. In general, everyone's probably going to tell me it looks kind of plain. It's just black and white. It's just got almost look like the default blue colors of a traditional browser style. But I think that's why I like it the most, because it's just very trimmed down. And my entire goal for all this is to focus on the content. That's why you go to a blog anyway, isn't it? It's not for the big images or I don't know, stupid memes or something. Well, maybe it is, but you never know. For me, I like to read, so this is kind of that general idea behind it. So on the home page, which is this here, hard to see. It's got the publication look with the columns, the headlines and the excerpts. Obviously, I call attention to dates and categories as well. When you click through, you end up on a page like this, which shows the actual feature image. If you recall the old blog design, which you'll see screenshots on this blog post below, or at the link at the bottom of the video, you will see that I use feature images throughout the whole site. And what bugged me about that is how heavy that was on the browser to load all that stuff. And not everyone's on a sweet state-of-the-art computer everywhere in the world. So I wanted to kind of trim things down, optimize them, focus on page speed, and then also on legibility and readability. So you'll see the typography choice was, on purpose, of course, but serifs traditionally are easier to read as you are reading from top to bottom, left to right. So I chose those for my main body copy. Those are a Hoffler and Company font called Mercury Text, which is awesome. It's on Hoffler's website. They're saying it's more optimized for like headings and stuff or bigger font sizes, but I've kind of liked the look of it on the smaller text here, which in the sketch file I don't have that font, so it's just Georgia here. So ignore that for now. And then I went with a Franklin Gothic from Font Spring, I think. So it's their version of Franklin Gothic in a few weights. I used kind of the bigger, bolder text for the headlines, which is, just cuts through. So back to the actual design on the browser, you'll see here, let me move Sketch out of the way. Here's the homepage. What I did is not a huge change in terms of site architecture. What I did change a lot of is the stuff behind the scenes, which is the code that kind of builds this. I'll go into that in a second, but I wanted to walk you through. So here's the homepage. If you go into a category, one thing I carried over is the color coordination between each category itself. So the color corresponds obviously to each. So branding would be red, designs blue, freelancing is purple, pink, whatever that is, fuchsia, I don't know. And then so on and so forth. On each category page, I did away with the grid layout, as you see on the homepage, and went with a list, which is just, I think, easier to read, especially if you're looking for an article in particular. So it's obvious, my goal is to make it obvious you can click on things and read things and, figure out which category it's in. So that explains kind of the way the links look and work and all of that. So one new thing I added to the site is a books section, but it's actually a product section if you look at the URL. But for now, it's the home for the books I've written. One being Pro Tumblr Theming, which is free. Go download it. And one being Luxed, which is coming. I'm working on it now, finishing up some chapters and editing. It's about user experience design from my perspective, as I'm a user experience designer. You can find out more by going to books or the all products URL on WebCrunch's site and reading more. Each of these have a landing page with more information. Aside from that, the site is pretty straightforward, kind of, what you would find on a typical blog. Some, Easter eggs I have are what a lot of people do with like a 404 page, just typing garbage there. I kind of had a little fun with like a parallax kind of image where your mouse messes with the browser as you go over it. So the idea is if you've landed on a page that didn't exist, obviously you're in the middle of nowhere on the site. So this is kind of a toy on that metaphor. So the site, of course, has to be responsive. And to help with that, I ended up using Bootstrap. A lot of you might say, oh, Bootstrap, that's kind of a cop-out. All your work's already done for you. And yeah, I agree with that. I used to be the same way. But the fact of the matter is, Bootstrap's like tried and tested. So, you can't go wrong with using it because it's been used on so many applications and browsers that have utilized like user testing and research behind, the patterns that exist and the styles and what's so forth like that. So I went with Bootstrap. I'm proud of it. I'm okay with it. It's cool. It works. That's the main thing. So on top of that, a neat thing under the core of the code here is I went for the first time with Twig, which is a new template, not new, but it's a templating engine for WordPress that basically separates the logic from the actual presentation layer. So think of it as like a MVC pattern, if you're familiar with that, but not quite as extravagant. So essentially with Twig and Timber, I think I said Twig, maybe it's not, but it uses Timber. So Timber is a plugin you can download and activate on your site that ties into WordPress, and from there it creates logic with like 2 lines of code that renders these templates that are in Twig. And Twig is essentially HTML with these placeholders that are basically these 2 brackets that wrap, identifier that, connect everything. So long story short, it's super cool. And it's, a refreshing kind of framework to use with WordPress if you've never tried one, mainly because the code is so much cleaner to write. and it's just more legible. Your workflow is way quicker. So I use that, a combination of I use Sass as opposed to just traditional CSS, and a few scripts here and there just to help with obviously Bootstrap and stuff like that. Aside from that, I think that's about it. I'll let the blog post kind of tell you more. I went in a little more depth there of, some successes and struggles I had along the way. And you can read into that. But I just wanted to give you a quick walkthrough and also introduce my voice to you, since video is going to be a new thing that's coming to WebCrunch. I'm hoping for 2017 to make a big push with that. So expect to see more. If you like what you see and are, liking the design, I'd love to hear about it. You can comment on this post, or you can email me, message me. All the links are on the site. Also, if you have a chance and are interested, I have a subscribe button here. I send out a weekly newsletter. Getting ready to send one out pretty soon, actually. Every Sunday I do that. So I hope you like the site. Let me know if you do. And I thank you guys so much. All right. Bye.